On the cutting mat with toy-polloi.
Hello and welcome to the second episode of On the Cutting Mat, an exclusive video series filmed for my Patreons and YouTube channel members. And in today's video I'm going to be doing some work on these two He-Man figures. Now this He-Man here you will have seen recently in a toy fair video. I went to the Taunton Retro Toy Fair and I picked this up from Stay on Target Toys. He cost me £1. I did actually happen to have some armour. This is some armour that I've repaired. You can see there's a join there. So I've just put that on the figure, but for £1 he's actually already not looking too bad, but he does need all of his paint touching up, so that's what I'm going to be doing today, just giving him a quick sort of repaint. His hands are in a sort of fairly shoddy condition, but that doesn't matter because my plan is with this one is to put him in a vehicle, so you know, if his hands are looking a bit rough it doesn't matter that much at all. And then this figure has been sat on the side for about a year. I put him together thinking I would sort of repaint him as a Savage He-Man or as a Wonder Bread He-Man. So this is essentially a Fisto body, so it's a Fisto chest and legs, and then He-Man's arms and a spare He-Man head, and he's been sort of sat there for all that time waiting for me to fix up. So I thought today I might as well get round and actually just sort of repaint the two of these. But people often ask me, you know, how do I remember the colours of the paints? And I have to say a lot of the times I don't. I do try to write down everything that I sort of work on, but I don't often remember to do that. So this is my sort of notepad of sort of colours for various things. But as you can see, it's actually not very full. It only goes a few pages in and I sort of forget to do it. So what I've been doing today is actually going back to some of my old videos. In fact, I've just re-watched the sort of Savage He-Man Wonder Bread He-Man video, and I've written down in here now the colours that I used to do the sort of paint work on him. So I know that his feet are black, the belt is black, that's easy. And then I needed to check what colour his hair was, because his hair is essentially a sort of chocolatey brown. So I've gone back and re-watched the video, and it says here hair is Humbrol number 186 brown with a tiny amount of black. So I've gone and found my 186 brown, and I'll be using that to sort of mix up a sort of a fresh set of hair colours for him. Although today I do actually want to try and mix up a different colour for him, because the Humbrol paints are very hard to get now. The company doesn't seem to be bothering distributing them anymore. So I have another brown which I think might be close. This is a Game Colour 72.043 Beastly Brown. I think that maybe mixed with some other colours will get that same sort of chocolatey brown. So that's my sort of job for this afternoon, is just to repaint these. So I'm going to start with the sort of simple colours, which is black. So we need to just paint this belt black, we need to paint his boots black, and then this poor chap here is missing all of his face detail, so I will paint his eyes and his eyebrows and stuff back on there. And for that, I've shown you before in the sort of main videos, I'll be using this, which is a pin just in an old paintbrush. Gives me a lot of control as to where to put it. I'll probably do his teeth at the same time, and then once that's all dry we'll sort of start dealing with the other colours. But yeah, let's get on and just sort of paint the blacks first, and then we'll see about the other colours. But yeah, my notebook, I really should pay more attention and write more notes down of the colours I'm making, because it makes it much easier to go back and check what I'm doing. Okay, so that's the black done. So you can see I've painted his boots and his belt. I'm going to let that dry. At the moment he's doing a bit of a handstand just so that he dries without any of the wet parts touching my work desk and getting marks on them. And on this He-Man, his face was pretty messed up, but even just adding those eyes and his teeth, it sort of improves him a fair amount. I still need to tidy up a little bit around the eyes. I'm going to wait for the paint to dry, and then I'm just going to use the pin here just to scrape away some of the excess paint. But the overall effect on that is not bad. I think he'll look pretty reasonable by the time he's in a vehicle. It's not perfect. Painting this small is incredibly hard to do, and I'm getting better at it each time I try, but it is really quite tough to get an exact match to the original sort of look of He-Man's face, but that's really not bad. So let's let all of this dry, and then we'll start painting the hair on these guys, and also we've got to do his boots, which is a fairly quick job to do. So according to my notes, He-Man's hair colour is this one, which is the Game Colour Gold Yellow 72.007 with some of the Humbrol mixed in, but as I say, Humbrol is hard to find, so I've just mixed in a tiny amount of this Beastly Brown, and it does seem to work. I've got a sort of palette here with some of that mixed up, and that does indeed look like He-Man's sort of gold and yellow hair. So let's paint that on, and that should make him look a whole lot better. Again, my notes on the hair colour for this Savage Wonder Bread He-Man show me that I've used the Humbrol 186, but as I say, this is hard to get, so I'm sort of mixing something else at the moment. I've been using that Beastly Brown. I've added a bit of black and a bit of white, and I think I've got something that is the same sort of chocolatey brown, so I'm just going to go with that and see if it works. I think it should do. It's sort of, as long as it's sort of a close enough brown to the colour of his sort of furry pants that he's got on there, I think it'll work. So yeah, let's just go with this. I've also referred to my notes for the boots of He-Man, which according to my notes here, I've used a Meng colour MC235 and some Humbrol red. But again, Humbrol red is hard to get, so I've used the same Meng colour, and I've just added some Game Colour Bloody Red, which is the only other red that I have, and that actually seems to match quite well. So I'm just going to do the final little bits of touch-ups on his boots. It's just a little bit worn around the edges. To be honest, it's probably not really going to make that much difference, as these are going to be sitting in vehicles, but you know, I've got my paints out, so I might as well just do these little touch-ups and make him look as good as I possibly can. And here we go, here are the finished two figures. I've just quickly put on a satin varnish over all the areas I've painted. That just gives the sort of paint the final sort of sheen that I want, makes it look more like the original paint would have done. And as you can see, this is now my Savage He-Man, so the chocolate brown colours worked really nicely. I'm very pleased with how that's turned out, considering how scruffy this figure was to start with, and it really is just the Fisto body with some He-Man arms and head on it. I've got a really nice looking figure here. You can see this guy's got chewed hands as well, but he is going to be just sort of stuck in some vehicles, so yeah, that's going to be a really good looking figure. And then this is the He-Man, and he was in even worse state at the start because he basically had no paint on his face. He was missing bits of his nose, so really what I've done here is just sort of giving him a tidy up. He's never going to be a perfect figure, you can see that by the state of his hands. But for a figure to sit in a vehicle, that is really very nice. He only cost me £1 as well, and I've had way more than £1's fun at fixing him up and making him look sort of half decent. And that's sometimes the way with these things. When I saw this figure in the box for £1, I just thought, I've got to have it because I can do something with him and make a pretty reasonable looking figure. It may be in the future I'll find a better head or some better arms and I can swap those bits out. But for now, as you can see, I've got two pretty decent looking figures, and I've spent about half an hour sort of messing around painting these up, with a little bit more time spent waiting for paint to dry. But it's certainly been well worth me spending the afternoon working on them. And I just want to say again a massive thank you to all that support me here on Patreon and as YouTube channel members. It really is very kind of you, and I'm hoping that you are enjoying this new extra bonus content that I am filming for you. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next episode of On the Cutting Mat.
Thanks for watching toy-polloi. Subscribe for more great videos. You can also follow toy-polloi on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram.